Joe Flacco's playing better than Aaron Rodgers is. Tell me when I'm wrong. Aaron Rodgers looks like trash. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire. He's slow. He can't move. It's just past his prime. He's done. Too many injuries. It is what it is. Hey everyone, welcome back to CNS Unfiltered. We got Week 9 Fantasy Football. X, thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
As always, please like and subscribe if you have not done so. Also, we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. If you're watching this, you're probably watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're there. Also, you can check out our website. We update it weekly, www.cnsunfiltered.com. There you can watch the show. You can see our picks for the week and also all the other stuff that we have going on as well. All right, starting QB this week. I got Cousins versus Dallas. Kirk Cousins is home in the Dome. Dallas' defense looks absolutely atrocious. We saw it. Yes, I know Cousins is a little iffy. He has good weeks. He has bad weeks. But Dallas is absolute trash. And I think the Niners, doing that ass whooping against them kind of proved that. So I like Cousins this week. And you're starting Sam Darnold versus the Colts. The Colts defense isn't really anything. Sam Darnold isn't the greatest. I'm a big Sam Darnold fan, as a lot of people from work, and I've been talking about it for the last year. They'll do absolutely fine. We'll get into Indianapolis here in a little bit. But you're sitting CJ Stroud. I would say before I knew that Stephon Diggs was out for the year, I was going to be starting CJ just because the Jets have looked absolutely terrible, especially their defense. But to be fair, I don't know if it's really their defense that sucks. It's that they've been on the field for so long. So at the end of the games, they're just absolutely tired and get wrecked on. I mean, it is what it is. We've been talking about this all year, you and I, about defenses being on the field too long. So You're sitting CJ, Thursday Night Football. He has Tank Dell. Tank Dell's the number one guy, but Nico Collins is out still. And like I said, Stephon Diggs is out for the year. They haven't been really utilizing Schultz a lot either. So to me, I don't know if I really like that matchup. We'll get into some of those other guys later. And then I'm sitting Bo Nix. So this might be an unpopular opinion. I've seen him on a lot of the charts and lists for ranking your quarterbacks in top 10. I don't get it. I like Bo Nix, don't get me wrong. But just because he had a good game against Carolina doesn't mean he's going to have a good game against Baltimore. And yeah, Baltimore's defense hasn't been anything crazy this year. But Bo Nix is going to be going against a very stout, a very game Baltimore defense whose offense is going to be scoring quite a bit. And I don't think Bo Nix is going to perform as well as you guys think. X, you started quarterback this week.
Just to piggyback off that Bo Nix, he's got a really tough schedule, ending out. He's got Baltimore, KC, Atlanta. Those are teams where their offense keeps the ball. So, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that people I get you pick him up for a week to play him against Carolina, but I got
right, for sure,
that are playing him, relying on this guy, and I'm hold on,
running that boy every week.
No. I mean, you look at the situation. Man. Also, just an honorable mention, or maybe you might talk about it a little bit, but Anthony Richardson got benched this week, so that's also something to kind of keep an eye on as well. But
I'll be talking about Flacco.
Okay, that's fine. I wasn't sure, but like I said, that's another thing. Richardson got benched, and I don't like to say this a lot, but you called it. So
my gosh, okay. So once we get towards the end, dude, I'm gonna be.
You're gonna be.
You want a hot take, brother? Jeez, brother. Let me just start stacking these caps right now.
Hey, I'm giving you the hot tag, dude. I give you the hot tag.
I'm telling you. All right. Let's get into it. I started quarterback. I like Rodgers against Houston. The reason being, Houston's offense is not going to stay on the field. They don't have Nico Collins. They just lost Stephon Diggs. They have Mixon in the backfield, which Mixon had a good day. However, he's not much of a runner. He's more of a pass catcher, in my opinion. So he's going to be easy to gobble up out of that. Stroud's going to have nobody to throw to. He's going to be holding on to the ball longer. It's just going to be a mess for him. I don't think that Houston is going to be able to keep the ball long enough. And I think Rodgers is going to have a lot of opportunities. However, one thing I do want to put out there is I personally would trade for CJ Stroud right now at a low value. And once you get Nico Collins back, he might be something. So just a little side note to keep in your head.
And a caveat, he's also a CJ Stroud owner, so remember that.
I am not a CJ Stroud owner. I am not.
You're not? In any of your leagues, for as much as you talked him up? You said,
yep.
And that quote.
Everybody picked him up.
He's going to be the #1 fantasy quarterback this year. That's what you told me. And guess
Tell
what?
me why, in the beginning, you would say otherwise. With that type of offensive weaponry, dude, there's no way.
I didn't think he would be.
There's no way.
I told you he wasn't going to be.
No. There's no way. With those type of offensive weapons, bro, there's no way you could have predicted that this is how this season would have went.
I'm actually
way.
going to look on our website.
No way.
Not a plug or anything, but, I did say that we have these up on our website.
Right.
You took CJ? Who did I take? Go ahead, sorry.
Just as you're looking that up. The next one I'm going to start is Goff against Green Bay. This is solely based around that Love doesn't play. As of right now, he's day-to-day, as was said. So Goff has a good chance. Malik Willis is just trying to keep it safe, letting the defense do whatever, letting Josh Jacobs do his thing. Malik Willis is just there to get them through the game and to get a W while Love heals up. So with that, he's not going to take a lot of big chances. That offense will not be on the field as much as you think. All right, you looked it up. What do we got?
So I said Josh Allen was going to be, and I think Josh Allen actually is. I had Josh Allen, Jalen, and then I said Dak. It's not Dak, but
no.
Yeah.
Jalen's been doing good though, so that's possible.
As a Barkley owner, I'm pretty upset, but hey.
Yeah, you should have seen that coming though. We're sitting the boy Joe Flacco.
Oh, come on.
Sitting him against Minnesota. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Here is my thing. Joe Flacco will be good downs owners for Indianapolis wide receivers. He will be good fantasy-wise. But him as an individual will not be. Going against Minnesota is still a good team. I know a lot of people are like, they might be frauds. They're not. I don't think they are. I'm not buying into that yet.
They're a playoff team for sure. I don't know how far, but they're a playoff team.
Right. Which I'm willing to run with. However, Minnesota, Flacco is not some godsend, bro. He's going to be just like Ryan Fitzpatrick, where eventually people figure him out. And I think that Minnesota is going to figure him out. I don't think he's a safe start right now. And I am an advocate for starting quarterbacks when they get plugged into a new week. I'm a big advocate for that. However, on this go-around, I'm going to say sit him. Next one is sitting this one for sure, is Rattler against Carolina. I think that New Orleans and Carolina right now are two of the biggest messes you've ever seen in existence right now, that the Saints are going to rely on Kamara, not so much Rattler. So Rattler's not going to really be getting you big points. He's going to be dumping off screens to Kamara, those types of things. Kamara's going to be really leaned on, I think, and I feel like he has been since Carr's been out, and they're not going to put their rookie quarterback in a situation where it's not productive for him. You don't want to destroy his ego. You don't want to destroy whatever confidence he might have, and it's not worth it against Carolina. I think Rattler will get a lot of opportunities, but I think Kamara is going to be the one to get a lot of opportunities.
All right. Well, I have to interject on that Joe Flacco piece there. You're a little bit. I don't know what it is you're doing. I don't know if you're trolling. Let me tell you something. Name me the quarterbacks currently in the NFL that have Super Bowl rings that are active.
Off the top of my head, you definitely got Mahomes. You got Rodgers. You got Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you got?
Who's the fourth one?
I'm not saying Flacco.
It's Joe Flacco, baby.
Super Bowls. Okay, I hate that argument, bro.
No,
I hate that argument. I hate that argument.
Let me finish. Joe Flacco is better than Kirko Chains, okay? Kirko Chains being Kirk Cousins. To me, he is. Kirk Cousins is not very good. We know this. He's very average.
I don't know.
Joe Flacco, yes, he's old, Joe Flacco's playing better than Aaron Rodgers is. Tell me when I'm wrong. Aaron Rodgers looks like trash. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire. He's slow. He can't move. It's just past his prime. He's done. Too many injuries. It is what it is. But Joe Flacco, when he was there weeks 4, 5, and 6, for Josh Downs and for freaking Michael Pittman, absolute, like, just a beast. Like, he absolutely went off. His point total was good, and so were both of them. They were both viable as receivers, which really doesn't happen a whole lot. Besides maybe like Miami's offense when they get going with Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle. I mean, obviously we're talking like last year.
All right.
This is the only team that I've seen where you can have 2 viable receivers and your quarterback all do well. And I mean, obviously it's a short span for weeks 4, 5, and 6, but it just proves. And they actually did that against a good Pittsburgh defense. Let's not forget. So it's not like they were doing it against some bums. So personally for me, like my take on that is like, if you got Joe Flacco, or if you need a week 9 replacement, you have Brock Purdy and there's nobody on you're in a 14-man league and you got nobody to pick up, you're running with Joe Flacco, in my opinion. Minnesota's defense is good, and I'm not saying they're not, but they were definitely exposed. So take it for what it is.
That's fair. I just personally, Flacco, he's like, Minnesota is going to have that ball a lot more than Flacco. Now, this isn't based 100% off of exactly, I don't want to say players, but it kind of is that Flacco, Minnesota has, in my opinion, better players. And at the end of the day,
I think they have a better receiver.
No.
One better receiver. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over Aaron Jones any day. Honestly.
Jonathan Taylor, whether he's playing or not, I think Jonathan Taylor, just like Richardson, is a little overrated. Jonathan Taylor, no.
Stats say different.
No. I am never wrong when I talk about Colts players, and I am not going to be wrong here. He is, in my opinion, overrated. I think he is above average, don't get me wrong, but there are much better running backs in the league than Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, doesn't deserve as much money as he gets. However, here's my thing, is that Minnesota has better players to excel than the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts defense is garbage. Trash.
Okay, I agree with you with that.
Trash.
I agree on that part. Their defense is trash.
Right. So Minnesota's defense is going to be able to take care of Flacco as best as possible. Now, here's one thing that I didn't think I would say, but just thinking about it, watching a little bit of Colts games, is that I think that the Colts actually have a better coaching staff than Minnesota does. Now, with that, the problem is that the coaching staffs might call the correct plays, but the players will not be able to execute it in a higher level than Minnesota will. That's where my issue comes in. Because Minnesota is still a 5-win team. The Colts are not. And there's a reason for that. And the Colts have 2 of the worst teams in the NFL in their division. And they still can't get it done.
I didn't say the Colts are going to win the game. I'm just saying for fantasy-wise, you bet your ass I'm starting them.
No, I can't trust it. Can't trust it.
This is one of the things where we're going to agree to disagree. But
100%.
As usual, there's always one thing where we come back, and I got to come back and put it on the screen and be like, this is what was said last week, and this is what happened this week.
Hey, you know what?
To me,
I'm wrong on some of my things, and that's fine.
I mean, I am too, but don't get me wrong. I like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gets hurt a lot, and he didn't really do so hot last week. I do think Jonathan Taylor currently is the better running back. Receiver, yeah, I'm giving it to Justin Jefferson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take anything from Justin Jefferson. But Pittman and Downs are better than Jordan Addison and whoever their third stringer is. I mean, it is what it is, in my opinion.
I don't think
so. TJ's coming back for the Vikings, but I don't think he's going to be a big of a factor this week, just because he's coming off of injury, and I think they're going to ease him in. It's not going to be like a Puka situation where they just let him go all full out.
Right. So here's my thing about Addison is I think Addison is a Deontay Johnson situation. I think if you put Addison on a different team, away from Justin Jefferson, you will see that Addison will actually be a good receiver.
Well, we've seen it last year. I mean, when Justin Jefferson was hurt, like we did see it. So
Right.
I'm not arguing with you, but at the same time,
I'm not going to say that Downs is better than Addison. I'm not going to say that.
In their current teams, in their current situations, and current coaching staff, absolutely.
No, I don't.
Josh Downs gets more utilization than Pittman does. Look at his targets. Look at his
right,
yards,
which is fine. But the problem is, though, who is the Colts' number one receiver?
It should be Pittman.
Okay, fantastic. Who is Minnesota's number one receiver?
Justin, for sure. I'm not arguing that.
Okay, so why would you throw the ball to Jordan Addison when you have Justin Jefferson on the other side?
No, I agree.
And look at the Colts. Why would you only throw the ball to Pittman? No. In that offense, if the Colts had Justin Jefferson, Pittman and Downs would be nothing. Because you would just throw it to Jefferson every time. So that's why I'm saying, no, but it's reverting back to my point of that. If Addison was on another team, he would play better. He would be better. So
I do agree with you. But the thing is I agree, but I don't think you're understanding that. But I agree with you, but with the current scheme and the current matchup of them playing each other, I like both of those receivers on the Colts better than I like Addison, fantasy-wise. Strictly fantasy-wise.
I mean,
that's all I'm talking about. Strictly fantasy.
Okay.
I'm not talking about as a player, or that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
If I had to put a player in my lineup, if I have a flex, I got Pittman, I got Downs, and I got Addison, I'm putting in Downs, which I already did. Because that's who's going to have the most targets. All right. That's what I'm saying. That's all. I agree. Jordan Addison is great.
I could buy into that. I could buy into that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to get to.
All right,
I'm not
fair
taking
enough.
anything from Justin. And I would argue that Joe Flacco is better than Sam Darnold, and that's not to hate on the boy because I love Sam Darnold. But I'm taking a Super Bowl quarterback all day over someone who's been on boo-boo teams.
Bro, don't get me started on the Super Bowl thing. Don't get me started on the Super Bowl thing.
Hey,
bro.
he took a crappy Browns team to the playoffs.
That is another hot take that we are not going to waste right now in the start.
That's fine. That's fine. We're going to get back into it. Sorry, we kind of went off on a tangent.
But, little tangent. Yes, we did.
But anyways, all right, going back into running back. So I'm starting with Big Gibber, dude. I'm starting Big Gibber this week. Yes, I know he's a top running back, and we usually don't like to put these guys here. But because there's two guys in Detroit, there's Montgomery and there's Gibby, it's like, well, who do you start? To me, Gibbs has been showing a lot of promise. He's been getting a lot of touchdowns, which is weird because Montgomery was that guy for the first couple of weeks, and all of a sudden he got kind of hurt, but he's still playing, but hasn't really done much. But it's a rivalry game against Green Bay. Green Bay's defense is good, don't get me wrong, but I still think because Gibbs' pass catching ability that he's going to be very viable this week, and I would definitely start him. Also, I'm starting Josh Jacobs. I know it's another top 10 running back, but the reason why I'm including him is because with the potential loss of Jordan Love, which we don't really know what's happening. I don't know if he's playing or not. I know as the week goes, we'll kind of see. But if Malik Willis is in there, they're going to give the ball to Josh Jacobs, and that's exactly what they did against Jacksonville. I think Josh Jacobs ended up with like 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, at this point, you're going to start him, and you shouldn't even reconsider putting him on your bench. Sitting. So I know X over here is going to think or say differently to me. I don't know why my Siri's going off. I'm sitting Stevenson against Tennessee, and I'm surprised that, well, I'll let you get into it later. But Ramondre, he had one good game. Yeah, I understand Drake May's down, so he might be getting utilized a little bit. However, for me, I just don't trust the guy. I don't know if I would comfortably sit him in my lineup unless I'm like top 2 in the league. Like right now, I'm trying to compete just to get into the playoffs, a wild card spot, as you would say, at this point. So if I had him, I'm not starting him. Unless he shows me 2-3 weeks of consistency, then I'd consider bringing him back. But for me, against Tennessee's good front line, I'm good. I'd stay away from that. Next, and this one, I don't know. I think a lot of people don't really agree with this because I've kind of asked around at work today. I'm sitting Dobbins at Cleveland. And the reason for that is that Chargers, yes, they're big on the run. However, Cleveland has a good front line. I would say it's better than Tennessee's front line. With the addition of Jameis Winston performing very well and Deshaun Watson, hey, that boy eats some W's, son. Jameis Winston is a poor man's Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that's nothing against Jameis. But I'm all about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like I mean, a lot of people who know me is just like, why? I don't know. Maybe it's the beard. It's just majestic. But
It's fair.
He's one of those journeymen. He'll throw 4 touchdowns and throw 4 interceptions, and Jameis is the same way. So fantasy-wise, I didn't even talk about him. He's a nice little plug and play. He's going to get you a lot of points. He might lose a little points for interceptions. It's okay, though. But he's going to be throwing some touchdowns. But because he's going to be able to get the ball down the field a lot better than Deshaun is, that defense on Cleveland is not going to be as tired. And I think we're going to see quite a turnaround of that team while Deshaun's not there. Well, he's out for the season. To me, I just think they're going to stop Dobbins, and we're not going to see those big explosive plays that we're used to seeing from him week in and week out. All right. X, who you got starting at running back this week?
All right. Starting.
Of course.
I got contrary to all of your beliefs. I actually got Montgomery starting at Green Bay because here is the trend. The trend is Gibbs does good for 2 weeks. Montgomery does good for 2 weeks. Gibbs does good for 2 weeks. And now it is back cycling again to Montgomery doing good for 2 weeks. Gibbs had his 2 weeks in the sun, dude. Montgomery got some love. He threw a little touchdown pass, pissed me off because 4 points is not better than 6. So that was a little frustrating. And so whatever, we're gonna let bygones be bygones there. But I like Montgomery against Green Bay. Granted, once again, this is also saying that Jordan Love isn't playing because that time of possession is going to be short. And the Lions, with the two-headed running back beast, knows how to get the time of possession happening, which gives your running back chances to get good opportunities to win. Get a lot of points. Get little screen passes. Bust out those big runs. It's going to be there. So I agree with you that I think Gibbs would be a good choice to put in. Just like you said, Montgomery would be a good choice to put in, but you feel like Gibbs would be better. I feel like Montgomery would be better. Just as a disclaimer, I feel like we would both agree that both would be good to put in there in this situation.
Both viably started this week. Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
Divisional game. You got to.
Yes. Next is, contrary to your belief, we're starting the boy Stevenson against Tennessee. Yes, we are. For the simple fact that Tennessee goes 3 and out so much throughout a game that it's ridiculous. So, and nonetheless, too, Tennessee's special teams, as you saw against the Detroit Lions, gave up so much yardage that good field position is there. And at that point, you don't need to throw. As a coach, you're not going to throw. You're going to run. You are going to run the ball. You're going to kill out the time so that their offense doesn't have enough time to do whatever they want to do to manage the game. You are going to burn out that time. You have great field possession. You know no matter what, okay, I'm getting 3 points. So what are we going to do? We're going to run the ball. You're out, Drake May. We're assuming that Drake May is going to for sure be out. So with that, you've already seen what your at the beginning of the season, your first string quarterback was doing in Brissett. It's not there, dude. It's not there. The coaching staff knows it. Everybody else knows it. So you're going to rely on your superstar running back, Stevenson. Stevenson is going to get a lot of opportunities. He's going to get a lot of carries. Yes, I agree. Tennessee has one of the best defensive lines, but with how many opportunities they get and with how quickly Tennessee turns the ball over, that defense is going to be tired. You can't fight that. So Stevenson, I think, is going to have a big game. I like him in those sense of time of possession. Sitting.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just want to make a little note.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe in Mason Rudolph and Calvin Ridley, baby. Calvin Ridley to the moon. That's all I got to say. Calvin Ridley to the moon. I have him. I think in a 14-man league, and I didn't start him, and I was just like, dude, at this point, if you're in a deep league, start that boy because Mason Rudolph has done way better with Ridley than Will Levis has. So that's the only thing is that they have a connection, and now with D-Hop gone, I think he's really the only guy they're going to throw to. So
do know that Tennessee is still sold on Will Levis. They have to be. It's kind of this Anthony Richardson thing. If Will Levis did the same thing as Anthony Richardson and tapping himself out like a bitch, then Tennessee,
I forgot about that.
Oh my God. I know. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that later.
Hey,
but if Will Levis did it, it would have been done. All right. Will Levis would be done.
I have the perfect hot take for you, and this might even be the intro now.
Beautiful.
Who's worse?
All right.
Will Levis or Anthony Richardson? We'll
Richardson.
save it till the end. We'll save it for the end. We'll save it for the end.
You're gonna. Yeah.
But,
all right.
We'll save it for the end. But anyways, go ahead.
Regardless, that's where we're at. I'm sitting White against Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is low-key one of the best and one of the worst
Jones, baby.
play against in fantasy. So White is not viable. You don't have Mike Evans. You don't have Chris Godwin. You're just left with White. And Baker Mayfield's got to make it happen with nobodies. With nobodies, dude.
Get on,
with
baby, to the moon.
Nobodies.
Get on to the moon.
White might try to be leaned on, like the Stevenson situation, but White's not going to be able to do it against Kansas City. I'm just telling you that right now. Sit that boy. Find somebody else. Next one you're sitting, a chain against Buffalo.
Really?
We're not doing it. Tua's back, bro. Tua's going to be spreading the love, spreading the ball. Miami's defense sucks. So they're going to be playing from behind so much that a chain is not going to get the rushes that you need. You might be there in the passing game, but at that point, too, you got Mostert cutting into those as well. So with that, a chain is very explosive. I think a chain is the better of the two running backs. However, a chain, he's not going to be leaned on because they're going to be behind so much. And when you're behind, you're passing the ball because you're trying to get quick touchdowns. You are not trying to sit there, run out the clock, manage the game. No, you're in full panic mode. You're trying to get points on the board. You're hoping your defense will make a stop, and you could get the ball back to catch yourself up to get it to a field goal game. So a chain to me, not good. Not good this week.
Well, you know what's good about being in last place in your family league? You get the first pick in the waiver wire. And with that first pick of the waiver wire, your boy's picking up Tank Dell against the Jets. So, yeah, I don't like CJ this week for fantasy purposes, obviously. But Tank Dell's the only guy they have left to throw to. So, if you need a pickup for the week, Tank Dell for some reason's on the waiver. I don't know why he was in my league. I'll pick the boy up, and now I got a number one receiver. Not maybe in the league, but as far as like number one starting receiver for nothing. So, I'm taking Tank Dell. I don't think CJ's going to have a good day. I think that it's going to be a pretty bad Thursday night game, Halloween game. How fitting.
Oh, yeah.
It's, I mean, these guys are basically just going to be playing football. The Jets on paper, don't get me wrong, have a great team, but just, I don't know what's going on with Aaron. It's the ayahuasca or his age. Something's happening. But I like Tank Dell this week. And then I kind of just made a mention. I'm upgrading the Rams receivers now that Cooper and Puka are back. They're both viable in my opinion. Yeah, who would have known that Puka was going to go off? I know you're a Puka owner.
No,
you wouldn't have known that.
Not.
My wife's a Puka owner. She's like, how was I going to know? I go, you don't.
No,
I go,
there's
that was
no
crazy.
way. There's no way.
So to me, it's like, yeah, you're upgrading Rams receivers, you're upgrading Miami's receivers to Tua back, and you're upgrading Indianapolis receivers. And I've said that if you look back at the last episodes, if Joe Flacco's starting, you're starting them boys because Joe Flacco's going to get them the ball and Anthony Richardson's not. And I know X will go into it a little bit later in our hot take section because he gets very heated about it. But I just wanted to mention those guys. I'm sitting Green Bay receivers, and that's only if Jordan Love's not playing. And what we've noticed is that when Jordan Love doesn't play, you're going to have to downgrade Reed. Watson's already downgraded as it is, and Dobbs. Their best two guys are Reed and Dobbs at this point. Watson's more of a touchdown-dependent guy, and then Kraft is good. Their tight end's pretty decent. Has been pretty consistent. Yeah. But
I like him.
With Malik Willis, I mean, unless you need a plug and play and that guy gets like 2 rushing touchdowns, that's the only way I can see you starting anybody on that offense, to be honest. And I wouldn't start Malik Willis if my fantasy season relied on it, which it does at this point.
No.
So I'm not starting him. And then also I'm sitting Amari Cooper against Miami, man. This was a little heartbreaking because, I tried to trade the boy over here for Amari Cooper. And honestly, I'm kind of happy I didn't because I would have lost. Yeah. I lost James Conner regardless. And even though last night he had texted me, he was like, hey, how's George Pickens working out for you? And he got a freaking, I think it was a special teams touchdown that didn't count, and then he got a touchdown, 2 touchdowns called back. I was like, man, they're killing me. But Russell Wilson figured it out. He got him some yards. I got the win. That's all that matters. But Amari Cooper, I think he had like 1 catch, 2 catches. Do you remember? You're an owner. You know how he catches. It's pretty low. We're not going to talk about it. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It was 1 catch, 2 targets.
Yeah. And then an offense like that where he should be the number 1 guy, in my opinion, in Buffalo, talent-wise and veteran-wise. Josh Allen kind of relied on some of those younger guys, which is cool. They've been doing that all year. And maybe it's just a breaking in period. But, I mean, week 1, he had a touchdown, which we talked about last episode, where I said he might be touchdown dependent. So, I mean, I don't know this week, even though Miami has a bad defense, I might personally just kind of hold back until he has some kind of consistency. And until then, you can feel comfortable maybe putting him in your flex. X, who you got starting this week at receiver?
So starting, I got the boy Garrett Wilson going against Houston. I like Garrett Wilson in this matchup. Houston's time of possession, like I talked about with Rodgers, is going to be absolute garbage. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has got the chemistry with the boy Devontae Adams. However, I think Wilson is kind of getting overshadowed in his value now. Before Devontae Adams, I did not like him. I don't think he was worth it. I think now as a number 2, he's right where he needs to be. And I think he's good value right now. I'm going out on a limb on this one, but I got faith in the boy. You're going to start DeAndre Hopkins going against Tampa Bay. DeAndre Hopkins has now been able to get through some practices. He's able to build something. I think that Kansas City needs to get him out there. I think the second they get him out there, and it's all dependent on that game. Once that game happens, that DeAndre Hopkins gets out there, does what DeAndre Hopkins does, he's going to be big, and I'm hoping that it's going to be this game. I would say start him if you're sitting on the fence on maybe your flex or something along those lines. You're sitting on the wire of a couple players, and you got D-Hop there. Put him in there. Shoot for the stars, baby.
I'd also like to add on D-Hop, I think this week is really going to prove, or maybe the next 2 weeks, Mahomes is probably, or I would say is arguably the greatest, not even arguably, he is the greatest quarterback of our generation, of the current generation of football players. Not named Tom Brady, obviously, because that's a different generation with Peyton and all those other guys. This is not including Aaron Rodgers. However, if D-Hop cannot get it going with Patrick Mahomes, I think Father Time, he's not that old, but he has a lot of injuries. I think Father Time and just the skill set wouldn't be there anymore at this point. And unfortunately, I wouldn't even start him after that point. I would still give him a couple weeks, but it's just worth mentioning that those injuries might have caught up to him. His prime was on the Texans, a little bit on the Arizona until he got hurt again. So just keep that in mind. But sorry, go ahead. Who are you sitting this week?
So I'm sitting the boy Mooney against Dallas.
Ooh, okay.
I don't like that matchup in the sense that even though Dallas's offense is garbage, it's kind of a Titans situation where the defense is still good. I understand that there are still some key players that are out. However, Dallas, for some reason, their defense manages to keep them in the game as long as they can, but Prescott seems to screw it up every time. So that's an offensive issue, not a defensive issue. I think the defense is going to be good enough to hold Mooney in check. Mooney's been doing really well, and I don't think that wide receiver core is going to do much. I think if they're going to get any points, it's going to be out of a lucky break. I don't think they are just going to have their way. I don't even think it's going to be average. They should not really do very well. So I would sit Mooney. The other one, just talked about him, but however, well, we sort of talked about him. Zay Flowers. We talked about his team, right? So Zay Flowers, the reason why I'm going to sit Zay Flowers against this is because Deontay Johnson is now their number 1. You can't convince me otherwise. Zay Flowers is not going to be utilized as he was before. His value drops. He is he's inconsistently consistent. So, I mean, he's got games where he's got single digit in 2 points, and then he's got games where he's hopping into 22s.
He's boomer
but
bust.
Then he ends up, And so now with Deontay Johnson there, Deontay Johnson showed what he could do in Carolina with a crappy quarterback. Now he's got a little more accurate Michael Vick throwing to him. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like Zay Flowers is kind of a bad matchup here in the sense that his value, his targets, He might be okay this week. I personally would not trust it. He might be okay this week, but come next week, he's going to be irrelevant, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see on him. I like him as a young player. It's kind of like a Jordan Addison situation, right?
Right.
But who knows? He might excel being in that number 2 if they decide to, keep eyes locked on Johnson.
So the one thing I do want to put in there too is he is going against Denver, and Denver does have the number 1 defense.
They do.
Just something to think about.
Is Surtain back yet or not yet?
I don't think he's back now.
Yeah, I mean that'll be an interesting game. I mean, I like Baltimore in that game, obviously.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think they win. But so tight ends. So this week I'm starting Evan Ingram. He's been a lot of like hit or miss. Obviously, he's been hurt.
He always is.
He's playing against Philly. Philly does have a decent defense, even though the fantasy stats are not showing that all the time. They had a good week last week, but before that, it's been kind of like below average, in my opinion. However, with Christian Kirk being out for the year, Brian Thomas, the hot new rookie, coming in, he's out for 2 to 4 weeks, possibly. They basically have Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram. Or Travis Etienne, I don't even know if he's going to play. So Trevor, I don't like Jaguars in this matchup, but I like the fact that Trevor Lawrence has to throw it to somebody, and they're always going to be coming from behind. That sounds bad. No diddy. But I had to throw it in there. But he's got to throw it to someone. I think he's going to throw to Ingram. Gabe Davis is too small. I don't think he's going to get to Gabe Davis. I think he's going to trust his big tight end, and that's just where he's going to get a lot of receptions, in my opinion. Next, I'm sitting Kate Otten, and I know that the boy X over here is like, he's a nobody. Well, he's Baker's somebody, okay? Every nobody has a somebody. And in my opinion, Kate Otten had 2 touchdowns last week, dude. I know it was National Tight Ends Day, and all the tight ends decided to have a good game for the freaking first week in 8 weeks, but
I'm not buying
he's really Baker's only reliable option, in my opinion. All the other guys are young, rookies, don't have a lot of playing time. Like you said, you don't really like Rachaad White this week, and I don't either. I just think Kate Otten's is going to be that safe bet, and that's where he's going to get the ball to most. And it might not be he's going to get 2 touchdowns. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for him to get a lot of receptions and for a really slim tight end category where there's only a couple guys that are really consistently being good every week, it's not a bad option at all. And honestly, he probably shouldn't even be at the waiver wire anymore. He should be on somebody's team. So Dallas Cotter is coming back from injury. It's Philly's tight end. I have this thing where I really don't like, even though he's playing Jacksonville and Jacksonville is absolutely trash, I just don't like tight ends coming in off of injury to have big games, in my personal opinion. I like to wait a week or two, if possible. It's not always the case, but he needs to kind of get up to speed and actually get some playing time. So because of that, I'm sitting him. And in addition to that, I'm sitting TJ Hawkinson, who should be back this week from what I've checked, against Indianapolis. Yes, Indianapolis has a bad defense, but I don't trust those guys to come in. It's not a Puka situation. It's not a Cooper Kupp situation. This is your big blocking tight ends. I think they're going to be doing more of that and getting a feel for the game this week. So just this week only, I wouldn't start them. And if they do halfway decent, I'd probably start them going forward, in my personal opinion. X, who you got starting this week at tight end?
So starting, I got the boy Ferguson going against Atlanta.
Ooh, Fergie.
Yes. Atlanta is one of those weird teams. They're either having the best game of their year or they're absolute garbage. And I feel like this is the game that they are going to be absolute garbage. I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to definitely be covered. Tolbert has not been doing anything. So I feel like this game is going to be Ferguson's time to shine. Coming through the middle, being those little drop-offs. I feel like right now with Dak having the issues that he is, that this coaching staff is going to give him, well, not give him, they are going to force him to play safe. Do these checkdowns. Do these small little passes. And I feel like Ferguson is going to be big in that. Next, we're still running with the boy, Hunter Henry. We're still going to run with him. It does suck that he lost May. He was his binky, bro. Henry was Drake May's binky, dude, in his rookie season, first year, learning about life in the NFL. Hunter Henry was there to be his safety blanket. Even though he is gone, I feel like Hunter Henry is always good enough to still be involved, but he does have these little short stints of really good and then really bad. And I want to say that he might be turning into the bad right now. But we're still going to start the boy Tennessee. I mean, we've already been over that. We already broke that down. For those exact reasons, Tennessee's just Hunter Henry's gonna have a good day. I'm sitting the boy Laporta against Green Bay. Laporta had a good day. He had a good game. Awesome. But one game, bro. One game. And I don't think he's turning it back on all of a sudden. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that, like I said, with the two-headed beast back there, Laporta is a little bit of an afterthought this season. They didn't mind him last season because he was a rookie trying to see what he can do. They figured out what he can do. His time in the sun is done. And I think for this week, you're just going to sit the boy. And then I'm also going to sit the boy Pitts against Dallas. Like I said, Dallas is still a good team. I really wanted to add Kittle on this list, but every time I add him on there, he does good.
Well, you can't. He's
so regardless, I'm not going to add him next week either. That's a foreshadow for everybody else. I'm not going to put Kittle in there because every time I put him in sit, he does good. And I need Kittle to do bad right now to prove my point. So he's no longer going to be added on these lists. But anyways, Pitts against Dallas. Dallas has a good defense. Pitts is just like every other tight end, it feels like they is consistently inconsistent. So I feel like that's where Pitts is going to be. I feel like this is going to be his bad game. I think he's going to have a bad game this week, bad game next week, and then he'll turn it back on.
I mean, my take, you saw who I started at quarterback. I mean, I think personally that Atlanta is going to do well. Dallas defense, in my opinion, isn't good. They have great defensive backs. I will say that. But besides that, and maybe Overshown, I like Overshown as well, the middle linebacker. I don't really care for anybody else. So, I mean, I think Drake London's a top 5 fantasy receiver this year. How? I have no idea. Is he the top 5 talented receiver? No, he's not. But the fact that for fantasy reasons, well, yeah, I mean that's true. But the best, you got to be available, right? What's the saying? Like the best availability is, or the best something is availability. I forget. Some kind of saying. I'll look it up for next week. But yeah, I honestly just like Atlanta this week. I don't trust Dallas. I think Dallas loses again. The only way Dallas wins is if Dak and CD have some kind of crazy connection and they absolutely go off. So that's just what I think for that. For that game, I do think Atlanta's going to win. However, going into defense, I'm starting Baltimore this week against Denver. Bo Nix, like I said, I put him on my sit list. I don't really know what the hype is about Bo Nix. Like, he went against Carolina. I get it. Did he play Carolina last week? Who did he play last week?
Bo Nix?
Yeah.
Well, the boy Bo Nix played. Oh, man. Thought I had it up. I did not have it up. He played against. Bo Nix played against Carolina.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, Bo Nix played against Carolina. He had a good game. Everyone's going crazy. Okay, Carolina is like the worst team in the NFL, arguably. So, it's realistic for him to do well. However, people still keeping Bo Nix and starting him this week, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So, because of that, Baltimore has a really good offense. Their defense shouldn't be on the field as much just because Bo Nix is not that good. Javonte Williams is not that good. I like Courtland Sutton, but unfortunately, if he's on that team, they're not going to really do well. I think Baltimore defense is going to have a bounce back week this week, and it could be arguably a waiver wire pickup to start. Next, I'm sitting New Orleans D at Carolina, and I know that's weird. I just don't like Carolina or New Orleans, like in general. Bryce Young actually didn't do too bad last week, considering. I mean, it was against the Broncos, but I think last time I checked, like maybe it was like halftime, he was like 9 for 11. So Bryce Young did improve while he was sitting, surprisingly. But just in general, just because they're two boo-boo teams, I don't trust it. I know that means you might get some fantasy points. Just to me, you never know. It's a divisional game. You never know what's going to happen. Two boo-boo quarterbacks, who knows? Honestly, I just want to stay away from them altogether in general. Sitting, X is not going to like this, but I'm sitting Dallas D against Atlanta. I think Atlanta has a high-powered offense for fantasy purposes, not necessarily for what I truly believe as a fan or what I see on the field. But when it comes to fantasy and stats, Atlanta has been proven to be a pretty decent offense. And just with Dallas banged up so much, and we saw what the Niners did to them. Yeah, they almost came back, but honestly, that was a fluke. And I just don't trust Dallas D this week. Also, I'm sitting Miami defense, and I mean, Buffalo's pretty good. Josh Allen's a front runner for MVP. I mean, who would have guessed to put him at number one quarterback on their fantasy list? I mean, I don't know. I mean, every year we always say Josh Allen's this. He's not that good.
Scrubs.
He doesn't have any receivers.
Scrubs.
But then here he is, number one fantasy quarterback, MVP front runner over Lamar. It's like, this happens every year. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be like that for the rest of the year.
Don't get me wrong. I like the boy. I love me some Josh Allen. I like his story. I like everything about the boy.
Local boy.
He is a local boy, and I'm all about that life. I mean, you know, is what it is. I like his story. However, CJ Stroud.
He's not. Anyways.
I'm running with it.
Yeah, it's too late now. He's done. He's getting, I'll give someone a pack of gum for him. That's it. That's all he's worth to me. But I'm sitting Miami. Miami's defense is atrocious. Buffalo's defense is great. I think Buffalo's defense is better than Miami's defense. So I do feel like Buffalo is going to win that game. But I would expect, honestly, a high scoring game, in my opinion. So I'm just kind of staying away from all that. X, who you got starting at defense this week?
Starting New York Jets against Houston. Houston is in shambles. That offense is in shambles. I've beaten this with a dead horse. I've beaten this dead horse with a dead horse. I don't think I need to go any further with it. I've already said enough. Cincinnati against Las Vegas. Las Vegas is still in disarray. I mean, they just don't know what is happening. There are a lot of teams that don't know what's happening, and Las Vegas is one of those. I think Cincinnati's defense kind of picks them apart, and I just feel like Cincinnati's just going to have a good day. And especially with their offense, with their time of possession that they keep, they're not going to put their defense is going to be able to get rested, and they're not going to put their defense in a bad situation. We're sitting Seattle against the Rams. The Rams are back. The Rams have a high-powered offense. There's no way that you are trusting anybody against them. You have two of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You have one of the top 10 easily best running backs in the NFL right now. You have a quarterback that shines when he has weapons, and the boys got 3 now. So, yeah, you're not doing that. You're also going to sit Jacksonville against Philly. Philly, I mean, that's kind of obvious.
Straightforward, yeah.
You know, yeah. Part of me kind of just thought, maybe I should add somebody else. But somebody's going to be dumb enough, and I'm going to be reality for you.
That's fair. Next, we're going to go over the Week 9 games. We're going to do the over-under, the total, and the money line. So we're going to kind of fly through this because I know the episode's kind of going on a little longer than we had anticipated because we do want to get into some of those hot takes. So we got Houston versus New York Jets. Jets are favored by -2. The total's 42.5. Personally, I got the under on the total. I don't trust it.
Ooh.
And I am taking the Jets by 2, though, for sure.
I'm definitely going to take the Jets. However, I'm going to go under. Yeah.
Next game, we got Raiders versus Bengals. Bengals are favored by -7.5. And the total's 46.5. I'm taking the under just because I don't trust the Raiders offense. But I'm going to take the Bengals to win for sure by a little bit more than a touchdown.
Exactly. You said it.
Okay. Next game, we got Miami versus Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by -6.5. The total's 50.5. And I'm going to back up what I said earlier. I'm taking the over on that. Because even though Buffalo has a half-decent defense, Tua's back, and I like him with Waddle and Tyreek. But I do think the Bills win by 6.5.
I'm going to actually go Miami. I'm going to take Miami on it.
I'm going to go Miami over Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm going to go. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take you with the over, though. I will take that.
All right. Next game, we got the Chargers favored by 1.5 points against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's playing at home. The total's 41.5. So I'm going to take the under on the total.
Yep.
I might have to take the Browns here with Jameis.
Oh, I'm going.
With Nick Chubb back, I'm taking Cleveland. I believe in Jim Harbaugh, but hey, Jameis be eating them W's, son.
Look, dude, Jameson gives those Cleveland fans the Chubb. So
there you go. I see what you did there. Next game, we got Washington Commanders favored by 3.5 points versus New York Giants. New York Giant Joe, the Mets suck. The Giants suck. I know you don't like the Yankees, but the Yankees suck too. Last time I checked. Actually, I think they're winning right now as we film this. We're filming on Tuesday. It's Wednesday. But I'm taking Commanders at -3.5 if and only if Jaden Daniels is there. And honestly, even if Marcus Mariota is there, probably still beats the Giants, in my opinion.
Mariota actually did pretty decent. So,
but I'm taking the under at 43.5.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
All right. Next game. We are going to have different opinions here. Dallas Cowboys versus Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are favored by -2.5. The total is 52.5 points.
Whoa.
And guess what?
Back it up there, Buckaroo.
Wait, guess
Back
what?
it up there, Buckaroo.
And guess what? I'm taking the over on that.
Oh,
I'm taking the over because Dallas defense is trash. And for some reason, when Kirk Cousins is home in the dome, I'm always going to stick with it. Even if he does bad, I'm taking Kirk Cousins home in the dome to win by -2.5 points.
Man,
and the total's going to be over.
In this economy, you cannot be making our viewers be going broke by telling them to go over. What are we doing? No, you're taking Dallas. You're going under. 100%.
Crazy. No way.
Nope.
Next game. Denver Broncos versus the Ravens. The Ravens are favored by -9.5 for right reasons, like we've talked about, since people are still on Bo Nuts nutsack. Total's 44.5. I'm taking the under because I don't think Denver gets it done a lot on offense, but Ravens by 9.5. I think they win for sure by 2 touchdowns. Easy.
You know what? I'm gonna take the Ravens, but I'm gonna go over on this one.
You're gonna go over?
I think it's gonna be a little bit more than people think.
All right. Next game. Caveat: I would not bet in this game at all. So if you're in a betting state, I would stay away from it with a 10, 20-foot pole because even though it's a divisional game, you just can't trust it. So you got the New Orleans Saints, who are favored by 7, mind you. How? I don't know. Against the Panthers. So this is weird. So I do think, man, honestly, I don't know what team would win. Bryce Young looked halfway decent, but they literally just got rid of their last receiver. I think it depends if Adam Thielen plays or not. That'd be where I'm going to kind of be at. Like I said, I would stay away from it. Saints are favored by -320. I don't like Spencer Rattler at all. I mean, if Derek Carr comes back, then obviously you're going to take the Saints. And I think he might. I know there's rumblings, but I'm not entirely sure. So if Derek Carr, caveat, if Derek Carr's there, you're taking the Saints by 7. If it's not, I would take the +7, meaning I just think the game's going to be closer than 7 points because it's going to be really, really bad. But I don't know who's going to win. But I would take the total at under 44.5.
Definitely take the under. You know what? I'm going to go Saints. I'm going to go Saints. Just based off of Kamara.
I was like, I had to put caveats because I don't know. We don't really know who's playing yet. So
no,
it's still early. It's Tuesday. Next game, we got New England Patriots versus Tennessee Titans. The Titans are favored by 3. And guess who I'm taking? Because I know you're not going to take him, but guess who I'm going to take? Taking Mason Rudolph and Calvin Ridley, baby, at -3. Titans are playing at home. The total's 37.5. I'm taking the under on that, though, because I ain't dumb. Don't trust it. I'm gonna take the under. You
know what? I'm gonna go Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. Because Jacoby Brissett there. You ain't taking Brissett to win against the Titans, bro. With Mason Rudolph. All right, this might be the closest game of the week. We got Chicago versus Arizona. Arizona's favored by 1 point. Arizona's at home. The money line's really close. It's -105, -115 is basically a toss-up. The total's 44.5. So this is the thing. The Bears have a halfway decent defense. So I'm not sure. My gut's telling me to say over, so I'm going to say over on this. But I think I like Chicago at +1, man.
Ugh.
I know.
Ugh.
But Marvin Harrison hasn't really done anything, dude.
Yeah.
Caleb hasn't looked bad. The defense on the Bears kind of,
the defense on the Bears is good. I like it. I like the Bears defense. DJ Moore's kind of been absent. You know what? I'm going to go Arizona, but I'm going to go.
All right. Next game, we got Jacksonville versus Philly. Philly's favored by -7.5. Philly is going to win by 7.5, so you're going to bet that all day long. The total is 45.5. I'm taking the under on that.
I'm going to take the under and definitely go with Philly.
Next game, man, I wonder why this is not Sunday night. So you got Detroit versus Green Bay. Detroit's favored by -3.5. Obviously, Sunday Night Football with Jordan Love being there would be a great game. Yes. So the total's 48.5. So my caveat is if Jordan Love's playing, I'm taking the over. If it's Malik Willis, I'm taking the under. But I'm still taking Detroit by -3.5 all day anyways, regardless of who's starting at quarterback.
I agree.
Okay. Next, we got Los Angeles Rams. That's so weird not to say the St. Louis. Versus Seattle Seahawks. So the Rams are favored by -1.5. So about 2 points, which is fair. And the total's 48.5 points. I don't know. Is DK playing this week? I don't know if he's playing this week.
I think he is still day to day.
Well, at the time of recording this was October 29th on a Tuesday. I'm taking the Rams at -1.5, but I'm going to take
the total as
under. Okay.
They are I'm still optimistic taking the under. Of his return.
I'm taking the under, regardless. There's no way they score 48.5 points
over
that.
No, I'll agree with you with it.
All right. Sunday Night Football. I don't know why this is Sunday Night Football, but you know what? Hey, here we are. We got the Colts versus the Vikings. The Vikings are favored by 6. Rightfully slow. So, we kind of got into it earlier and we kind of got heated. Yeah, I'm still taking the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to win. I'm not saying the Colts are going to win. The total's 45.5. Taking the under on that as well. Yeah, that's what I got. What do you got? You agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Next game. This is pretty gangbusters here. You got Tampa Bay Bucks versus Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by -8.5. I like the Chiefs at -8.5. Yeah. The total's 44.5. I'm not sure because the Bucks defense sucked, but their offense is pretty good, even with nobody. We've seen that last week.
I'm going to go over.
Has been struggling this week. You're going to go over? I might go under on that just because I'm not.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go under.
I will take Kansas City, though.
Yeah, for sure. Kansas City. Easy.
Yeah. All day.
So usually at the end of the show, we kind of do, the overreaction, interaction, panic versus don't panic. But we're going to kind of throw that out the window today. We're going to do a couple hot takes. And it's honestly probably going to just be one big hot take. For me, I just will say, as a Niners fan, I know Dallas fans are going to be like, oh, whatever. It's because you're a Niners fan, blah, 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 blah. You guys are so delusional. You guys are probably the most delusional fans. Every year, you guys say it's your year. Whereas like a Niners fan, I've always been like, oh, no, our team sucks. Like, we're not going to win. Tennessee fan, you know your team sucks. You're not going to say you're going to win. No matter how bad your team is, Dallas Cowboys fans every year will say, no, this year's our year. This year's our year. Well, guess what? And this is straight to Angel. You weren't alive for your last Super Bowl. At least I was. For your last Super Bowl, at least. So Angel and I have a gentleman's bet of lunch that I said the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl before the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
So we'll see how that goes. We might bring him on to do a little delusional Cowboys fan segment. If people are interested in that, let me know.
I'll cat out on the boy.
He said Patrick Mahomes is not the greatest quarterback of our generation. He says Patrick Mahomes sucks. Yeah, we won't get into it. That's just for him. Yeah, exactly. We all said the same thing. We told him to go pee in a cup because he's on something. Told him he's high. I don't know what he's smoking. Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
Goodness. Okay. All right. Drugs
He's
are
like,
cool.
well, this year he sucks. I'm like, okay, you're going to take Lamar or you're going to take Patrick Mahomes going into the AFC Championship game? I go, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes because he's going to figure it out because he's been there 4 times and won
100%.
So, unless your name's Tom Brady and you're going against Tom Brady, I'm taking Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I agree.
And so earlier we kind of made a little side note or kind of like alluded to that. My other panic, or not my panic, but my hot take I want to do is who's a worse quarterback? Is it Will Levis or is it Anthony Richardson? And I can see reasons for both. I will just say, and before you go off on your Anthony Richardson tangent, at the beginning, if you go look at week 1's episode, actually week 0, because it was our fantasy football rankings episode, Hicks was really on top of it saying, Anthony Richardson's trash. I'm telling you, he's going to be bad. I didn't believe him because I'm bought into the card hype and his card's going for a lot. And don't get me wrong. I will say this. Anthony Richardson is a very athletic quarterback with a lot of skills that he needs to hone in. He can throw the ball very far. He can run very fast and he's very athletic. However, the fact that you tap yourself out on a 3rd down because you're retired and it's week 8, I think even Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, maybe even Pat McAfee even touched on that. Like, I think it's unacceptable.
Pat McAfee destroyed him. Pat McAfee destroyed the ball.
It's absolutely like uncalled for in my opinion. You shouldn't do that. for any reason. I've never seen a quarterback be like, unless they're hurt, right? Unless you're hurt, completely understood. You know, cramped. I get it.
Yes.
But the fact I've seen most quarterbacks go out there, Matt Stafford for Detroit and for the Rams, hurt,
broken ribs. Boy got broken ribs.
He don't care. He's like, I'm going to figure it out and worry about it later.
Slinging it.
So that's one of my other things. And also, when I checked in the middle of the game, I think it was like halftime, he was like 2 for 11. I'm like, what are you doing? How are you 2 for 11? Like, to me, that's kind of abysmal. And just very quickly on Will Levis, I know you could probably talk more about Will Levis. Will Levis had a lot of hype going to the offseason last year. He hasn't been very good. Their Titans are probably going to live by the sword, die by the sword kind of situation with him.
Yep.
Can he be good? He has had flashes. Do I think he's more athletic than Anthony Richardson? No. Do I think he has a better arm than Anthony Richardson? No. Does he run faster than Anthony Richardson? No. But I think on the right team, he could be very successful.
I agree.
If that makes sense. So if I had to take between the two of them, personally, I would probably take Will Levis as a quarterback. Whereas for Richardson, I'd probably try to but he doesn't have the size, but I would say he'd make like a good receiver or a good running back. Personally. Yeah. But I'll let you go into Anthony Richardson. So go ahead and
here we go.
Start cat now.
Anthony
this is what
Richardson,
the boys are here for.
As it was said, as it was prophesized by your football yin and yang master here, Anthony Richardson has probably this season, and you're going to cut this out, has sucked more dick than P. Diddy, to be honest.
Oh, no.
The boy is terrible. The boy is terrible. I mean, like, okay, so we'll start from the beginning before you're going to pat yourself out like you're, superstar senior in high school, right? So you have ranked. You have a top 10 offensive line. So pressure, not an excuse. It's not there. You have Jonathan Taylor, good running back, right? Who should be able to relieve a lot of pressure off of you in the passing game. They're going to stack the box, which means downfield is going to be open, right? So you don't have the greatest receivers. I'm not going to say you do, but you have speedsters, you have possession catch receivers, aka receivers that will catch the ball in high traffic, aka tight coverage, and will hold on to the ball. You have that. You have good route runners. You have every type of receiver there potentially is, besides a red zone threat, which is your big bodies, which are your Megatrons, your A.J. Browns, the boys who can vertical over, right? That's the only thing you're missing. But you have all the rest. There is no excuse for you to suck. But you still managed to do it because, you got to be great at something, right? So you're great at sucking. Good for you. Proud of you. P. Diddy would love to have you at a party. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. So we go into it. Now that's how it's been. You still haven't learned from your first season, your first 4 games, that you need to stop taking hits. And he injures himself. Good for you. Well, that is the quickest way to lose your position in any point in your football career. That is the easiest way to lose your position. Because now the other guy steps up knowing this is his moment, and he's going to make the most of it. And that's what happened. Joe Flacco stepped in. Super Bowl winning quarterback. Was good in his prime. And you're going to let that boy step in? You're insane. You're insane. You're insane in the membrane. So that happens. Then you come back. You run, right? You run a play. And you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to break it out. But do your thing. And then you go back to the huddle with all your boys, with wide receivers who have been running routes all day, watching you overthrow them inaccurately, sprinting their hearts out. And then you have the audacity to look at them and go, fuck it, boys. Your boy's tired. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. I just ran 5 yards, boys. That was insane. That was wild. Did you guys see that? Yeah, coach, take me out. Take me out, boys. I need a break.
He said, I'm tired. Get me out of here. I'm tired.
Hey, drop on the oxygen mask, boys. Lord, I need a break. My God, tell me the quickest way to lose respect for yourself, not just from your team, not just from your organization or your fans, but to lose respect throughout the entire NFL itself.
That's what happened.
Bro, do you think that anybody with any football sense in your mind is thinking to themselves, oh man, you know what? I really hope we get Anthony Richardson I really hope the Colts don't pick up his contract. You're high. He literally destroyed his NFL career quicker than Russell Wilson did. Or not Russell Wilson, I'm sorry, Jamarcus Russell.
Okay, that's I was like, hold on, Russell Wilson, Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no. Jamarcus Russell, at least over time, people had to figure out about that. Anthony Richardson just put it on display for everybody straight out the game. Absolutely ridiculous.
I wonder if it's a situation where they sit him for a game, or do you think they sit him for the season and reevaluate?
No, there's no way. There's no way.
As a Colts,
there's no way.
For fantasy-wise, I would like Joe Flacco to stay in there. But I think Joe Flacco brings a veteran presence to that team that would be beneficial to its players. Not like he's the greatest quarterback. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying either Anthony Richardson needs to learn behind him, or they might just cut their losses. Not necessarily like they're going to cut him for the team, but I think they're going to be like, hey, we need to find another quarterback at this point.
So here's the thing. As it has been said before, you were not drafted in the first round out of just pure luck. You were not drafted in the first round because, you know what, some team was taking a chance on you like it's a 6th round, 7th round pick. No, you were taken in the first round because you are good. You are good. But if you yourself do not have it, then it's over. It's over. You've beaten yourself before you've even gone anywhere. I know I sound like a poster on the wall when I say that. Record. Yeah, but it's true. It's true. Like, I keep saying it because it's true. Is that you've beaten yourself. So you're not going to do anything. And nobody is going to believe, you could tell them all day, I got that drive, coach. I'm really going to do it. You are. Bro, you just took yourself out of the NFL. You think your rookie first-round draft pick deal is going to set you for life? It might set average Joes like us, sure. Yeah. But it ain't going to set you, bro. You're in your 20s, early 20s. You got millions of dollars, and you think that's going to ride out the rest of your life? Bro, you're smoking terrible stuff.
So
he's done.
So let's narrow it down the question. So you think Will Levis, for his faults, do you think Will Levis is a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson?
Yes. So here's my thing. For the Titans, as I've been saying, because one of the buddies I work with at work is a huge Colts fan, and he even said 2 games ago, fuck Anthony Richardson, get him out. He's not it. He said that 2 games ago. And after that, now he's losing his mind. I told him that what the Titans need to do is waste every single draft pick on linemen. Every single draft pick.
100%.
I 100%, I would be A-okay. I would be so stoked. I don't want a middle linebacker. That's our weakest defensive position. I don't want a middle linebacker. I don't want a defensive lineman. I don't want, he's the best guy on the board. I don't give a fuck. I do not care. Do not care. Because what did we want? What did we witness? We witnessed Malik Willis. We had on Green Bay tear it up. Do good. Decent. Average. And when he was on our team, he sucked. Why? Because we had no line. The same thing, just like you pointed out, the same thing is going to happen with Will Levis. Will Levis was supposed to be a first-round pick, but he fell into the 2nd round. Fine. He was supposed to be a first-round pick, though. Every scout knew it. But every scout knew that, you know what, there's some better people. We should probably take them. Will probably fall to the 2nd round. And that's what happened. So he is potential to be a first-round pick. And you're not, just like I said, you're not a first-round pick for no reason. So Will Levis just needs a line. So what the Tennessee Titans need to do is not care about their now wide receiver problem. Don't care about that. Don't care.
You still have Calvin Ridley for 4 years, though. He's a great receiver.
Right. Fix your offensive line. You fix your line, guess what? Will Levis, you're watching it with the Cowboys. All the Cowboys need is CeeDee Lamb. That's all they need. That's all they need. They don't need anything else. You just throw the ball to him. And what happened this game? You throw the ball to Calvin Ridley, he gets over 100 yards. No problem. Has no question about it. Get him a line to let Calvin Ridley's routes develop and give him the ball. Give him the ball. That's all you got to do.
So you and I are pretty much on the same page. Like, where Richardson's 100%. Not very, like, and it's not anything against the guy. It's just more of, you look at these guys who are very athletic, because there's very athletic quarterbacks that come out of college. Trey Lance for the Niners is a really great example, where the Niners knew very quickly, because everyone's like, you guys didn't give him a chance. I go, he had a lot of chances in practice. And for most teams, they'll tell you if your quarterback is going to be good or not, based on a lot of those practices and their work ethic. Like, we don't know a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. When the biggest criticism was with Kyler Murray is that he plays too much Call of Duty and doesn't do enough studying. So, I mean, hey, he's God tier when it comes to Call of Duty. All the respect to him for being one of the boys and gaming it out. But at the same time, to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, I mean, you got to have a work ethic like Brock Purdy. For all things, I'm not a really big fan of Purdy, but he does have a good work ethic. Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, so on and so forth. I mean, those all guys had great work ethic and understood the game and put in the time. Right. So I guess the hot take of this is, we're taking Will Levis. I don't know if Anthony Richardson is done completely, because there are teams, like, there's half the league is trash quarterbacks, in my opinion. And quarterback is a very weak position. I don't know why, but I feel like it's a very weak position right now. Unless you have one of those top guys, you're kind of just like, it's almost like a tight end.
You're in limbo.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. For Anthony Richardson, I would say for cards, because I have cards, nothing crazy of him. That sucks.
Done.
Well, Levis sucks too. You're going to kind of basically hold and see what happens. Fantasy-wise, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, they all get upgraded. Joe Flacco might take him to the playoffs. I don't know. But nothing too crazy. They're not going to win nothing. But it's better than what they had. We'll see how it plays out. But if there's anything people want us to cover, I always ask everybody, please let us know. We'll talk about people who get traded. We'll talk about, who do you think's better, Detroit or Vikings, or Detroit and Philly? It's like, we'll talk about this stuff, but I need to know what you guys want us to talk about or what you guys want to hear, and we'll talk about it. I mean, I get a lot of private text messages, but I need it to be put into the world, into the internet. Comment on YouTube, comment on Instagram, comment on Facebook. I don't care where you comment. As long as it's out there in the open, then I can answer those questions, and I'll sit here with my phone and be like, okay, you've heard this person asked this. Let's talk about it. And I think that'll be a good format as well, because like I said, I would like to go live at least once before the end of this season, for sure next season, because I feel like it'd be a lot of fun interacting with people and kind of answering their questions. The only thing I'm worried about is all the spam, because people just like to spam emojis the entire time. I think it's really frustrating. But we'll see what happens. Thanks for sticking around. Like I said at the top of this episode, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. You can check us out at www.unfiltered.com, where we're going to have our blocks of the week. We're going to have our episode uploaded, where you can click on it for our YouTube, and also we have a link to our merch website and all of our social media sites. X, thanks for coming on a day early. Sorry for the last minute change. And until next time, everybody. Peace.
Later.